Hi, welcome to The Truth with Tal and Isaac. I'm Tal.
And I'm Isaac.
Episode number 23 of The Truth with Tal and Isaac. Urban Paul called us after last week's episode and just assumed that this entire episode would be about Michael Jordan. And although we are going to touch on Michael Jordan potentially because we're going to list the greatest athletes of all time, it's not just about MJ. So greatest athletes of all time, the biggest busts in history, NFL, NBA. Isaac's going to grab NFL. I'm going to grab NBA, and we might mix in a hockey or baseball one just for kicks. And then we're going to have hopefully a special guest today, Coach Rob, that can chime in. Isaac's old baseball coach, good dude, a good follower of the show, and a former Forster Spartan, which makes him extra cool. Sound good?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Off the top, Super League is done. Somebody told me that today, which is nice. I didn't really pay that much attention. Can you give me a little bit of a rundown?
So I had to. My group
Your
chat
boys.
is just full of soccer guys. So, your
Perfect.
ringer's on.
Yeah, my ringer's on.
My group chat, like a bunch of my buddies, are all soccer guys, right? And I used to play and I used to follow a little, but it's never been my sport to follow. So when the group chat is just flooded with soccer texts 24/7 and I know nothing, it's kind of tough to stay in the loop and actually follow it. So I started watching some soccer past couple weeks because I want to participate in soccer conversations. And as I got into it, like a couple weeks after, the Super League nonsense comes out. So basically, they were all pissed. All of my soccer friends hated this.
Every soccer fan was pissed.
Every soccer fan. So basically what it is take college basketball. This is the best analogy I've heard. You've got the Big Ten and the Pac-12 and the ACC and all these divisions. If you take the biggest and most historic and the best teams or schools from each conference and stuck them in their own 15, 20 team league, and they did their thing, and
So
the others did
they
theirs.
play the other dudes or no?
I don't believe so. So basically, like that so if let's say that happened,
Michigan,
you get state,
Alabama, Ohio State.
yeah, UCLA, like you'd get a few big ones, and it eliminates any upset Cinderella stories, anything like that. Fans hated it because, like smaller markets, it's taking advantage of the Americas and Asia. There's a big market, and not really Europe, but all of the markets outside of like Manchester United and those places. So people hated it. It's not going to happen, which is good. But people went nuts, including players, and there's a bunch of people resigning, and it was pretty ugly for a couple days.
Okay. Well, good. I'm glad it's done. Steph Curry is just a magician. Like, he is awesome. He's got to be back in the MVP talk, even though I thought it was, it was down to Jokic or Embiid. But Curry's got to be back in the talk.
So, like, the whole play-in tournament, they might sneak in the playoffs, the Warriors, and I really hope they do, because if they play, like, the Jazz first round, I actually think that'll be a good series. Yeah. I think Steph will put up a fight.
I heard Clay's coming back.
No, he's not.
No, I just said that.
Look, if they don't make the playoffs, it's really hard for him to win MVP. But when you look at most valuable, the definition, right? Guys like Chris Paul, guys like Steph, guys like Jimmy, you take them off their team, and what are they? They're a bottom tier team. Steph is right up there with actual definition of most valuable. Whereas, unfortunately, most valuable basically just means the best player on the best team past few years. But he's up there. He has to be in the conversation.
Awesome. It's fun to watch. We're going to do a mock draft next week. Obviously, the next week or so, there's not a lot of sports other than NFL draft talk. So when did we say? Maybe Sunday or Monday?
Sunday or Monday, probably, yeah.
Okay.
We'll do a mock draft.
How many picks?
I think the first 16 picks.
So I do 8, you do 8?
Something like that. We'll touch on the Lions, but that'll be coming in a few days. We'll keep you posted.
Okay. Tigers suck. Pistons need to suck a little more. Red Wings need to suck a little more too. It's Motown rebuild. That's it.
Tigers lost today, which is good.
They did lose?
Yeah, 3-2.
Okay. All right. They're not going to score a lot of runs. Anything else off the top?
No.
Okay.
I'm good.
Greatest athletes of all time. Mm-hmm. Do you want to lead in? You want me to talk about it?
I'll start. This is a super tough list.
Super tough.
Like, when I was putting it down, like, I have one guy who I think is the best athlete. And then after him, there is a ton of names that are all up there, I think. So I've got a few honorable mentions, like a lot, that I'll go through. Wayne Gretzky, Pele, Bruce Lee, Roger Federer, LeBron James, Calvin Johnson, and Bruce Jenner were some honorable mentions.
Okay. That's interesting. I've got Gretzky and Pele as well. I've got Babe Didrikson.
Yeah.
Played a billion sports and was awesome. Lawrence Taylor, which I didn't see in a lot of lists, but when I thought about freak athletes, he was the guy. And imagine how good he would have been if he wasn't doing coke every 10 minutes.
Didn't it kind of help him sometimes? I think he said that. I think he said that, though.
Yeah, okay. I'm sure he's right. Usain Bolt, I put down. Did not make my top 10, but there's discussion. Daley Thompson. Do you know who Daley Thompson is?
No.
Okay, this is a shout out to Sean Baudouin, dude who works with us. He's a decathlete. Daley Thompson was a decathlete who won gold twice in the 80s in a row. Decathletes are just sick. Obviously, you mentioned Bruce Jenner. They're amazing, those guys. Okay, so now what are we doing?
10, right? 10 to 1.
Yep.
You can go with your 10 now.
I've got Muhammad Ali.
At 10?
At 10.
Okay.
I had to look at one sport, right? Like the one sport guys got a little less impact. And listen, Muhammad Ali's amazing, but can you not argue that Joe Louis or Rocky Marciano or all those guys are comparable? But listen, top 10, I can tell you, Ali's the only boxer on the list. Amazing athlete, great leader, impacted the world.
Yeah, awesome. We talked about social impact. It's a different list, but Ali, I'll talk about him a bit. I've got Michael Phelps at 10.
Okay.
Do you have him or no?
Yeah, I've got him at 9.
Okay. So spoiler, he's got Phelps at 9, I got him at 10. One of the best Olympians ever, right? Freak of an athlete.
23 golds or something
stupid
like that.
I've got a couple more Olympians. Really one more Olympian. But maybe the greatest U.S. Olympian ever. Totally in the conversation.
Yep. Mark Spitz was the guy for a long time from 1972, but now it's Phelps, I think.
Okay, so Phelps is your 9?
Phelps is my 9.
So my 9 again. I've got Usain Bolt at 9.
Okay.
So here's my other Olympian. I think he totally could have had a successful career as a football player.
Usain Bolt?
Yeah.
Could he catch or?
Well, you probably learn how to catch a bit, right? He's your return man, the odd end around, maybe jet sweep. Who is going to legitimately get in front of him? It's Forrest Gump. If you get the ball in his hands, he's just going to run, right?
There used to be, there's some track dudes have had careers in the NFL. Ronaldo Nehemiah was a hurdler, San Francisco in the 80s. There's another dude who's played in the last little while.
Isn't Tyreek Hill a track guy?
Yeah, but I'm talking Olympic level track guy. I don't know if Tyreek Hill did anything other than college.
I think, yeah, you're probably right. But I've got Bolt at 9.
Hear that? I'm probably right.
Okay.
Yep. Number 8, I've got Wilt Chamberlain. You probably have him higher. Freak athlete, changes sport. It's hard to say how we would have done in today's NBA, but you can't really compare that. He scored 100 points in a game. So it's awesome. He's also a good volleyball player. When he retired from basketball, he played a little bit of volleyball. I do not think I would want to be hitting around with Chamberlain throwing up a center block.
I think you're sleeping on Wilt. I'll get to Wilt later. My 8, Cristiano Ronaldo. Speaking of soccer, what?
You're just sucking up to your soccer buddies.
No, I'm not. Look, Cristiano Ronaldo is probably the best soccer player ever.
He's about 143 pounds. Come on.
Dude, when you look at strength, speed, stamina, duration,
Ronaldo. Actually, I thought I put Drogba and Ronaldo and a couple of those guys.
And you have to have a soccer player, and it was between him and Pele.
I put Pele as honorable mention.
But I've got Ronaldo at 8 for all those reasons I mentioned, yeah.
Okay. I've got Jackie Robinson at 7. I didn't do a ton of research on this, I'm not going to lie, but I did research Jackie Robinson just because he's awesome. So he was in 4 sports at UCLA: track, football, basketball, and baseball. And somebody said baseball was his worst sport. He really changed the game, brought speed into the game. Again, you talk about social impact.
Yeah, more than speed to the game.
Yeah, he brought diversity. And again, that's something we touch on the show every now and then. We really can't wrap our heads around it because we're not racist bastards. But the crap that he had to put up with, guys like Hank Aaron had to put up with, Bill Russell, awful. But shout out to Jackie Robinson at number 7. Do you have Jackie?
I don't. I don't.
Oh, you're not very woke, are you?
Dude, okay. Totally respect Jack Robinson there. I get that. I've got a baseball player in a bit I'll talk about.
Okay.
My 7, I have Serena Williams at 7.
I have Serena higher than that.
Okay, so you're more woke than me. When you look at dominating their competition, Williams dominated her competition, is dominating her competition like not many people in probably human history, right? Like Wilt, Phelps, like a few Olympians, but there's not many that have been as dominant for her as such a Tom Brady.
For
such a long period of time.
Yeah.
Because she started her pro career when she was like
16
something,
or something.
Like younger than me, when she was a kid, when she's a teenager.
Yep.
So I have Williams at 7. And she has every record. If you look at the records,
she's awesome.
It's so many.
Yep. I've got Neon Deion Sanders at number 6. If you haven't watched the 30 for 30, finish watching the show. And then, like, when playoff baseball was happening and the NFL, and you did both in the same day, that was just awesome. And I know a lot of people didn't like it, but it's cool to be able to do that. Like, he was amazing. A dude that I went to Forster with, he played pro baseball. He was a really good baseball player. So he played Double-A with Dion. And he said, listen, he wasn't the most skilled baseball player, but he was such a good athlete. He just ran around and just, grounded it short. He's on first.
I think he was like a lifetime 260 hitter around there.
Yep.
Like, he was an above average baseball player. I have Dion higher. I've got Primetime a bit higher. My 6, I'm not going to talk about him because I know you're going to want to go nuts about him. I have Jim Thorpe at 6. I'm not going to even say anything about him because you probably have him really high.
Yep.
So Jim Thorpe, I'll pass on to him in a few picks.
Awesome.
So I have Thorpe at 6.
Cool. I've got Bo Knowles. I've got Bo Jackson at number 5.
Dude, man, wow.
Here's the thing. I was thinking about having him higher, but he didn't really have long careers because his hip blew out. And, like, Gale Sayers was an amazing football player, but his knee blew out after 5 years. So you have to take it. Listen, he's one of the top 5 athletes of all time, and he is the highest ranked football player. And the 2 most physical sports where the best athletes are football and basketball. So I've got Bo Knowles at number 5. Those old Nike commercials were awesome, right? Just playing tennis, playing hockey, doing everything was cool.
Man. So you have Bo and Wilt done already.
I Bo and Wilt done already.
Wow. All right. I didn't think it was possible to have a better list. What? Figure it out.
I only wrote down 9.
It's fine. Look, like, when you look at my list and his list, I didn't think it'd be possible to have a clearly better list, but it looks like that's how it is again. Team Isaac Nation. I know everyone's going to...
Yeah, everybody likes Team Town Nation. And Youngblood, like, you just don't have the right perspective to appreciate history.
Okay. This is the one who had...
9 guys.
Wilt. Yeah, 9 guys. Okay. 5, I have Muhammad Ali here.
Cool.
Greatest boxer of all time.
Can't argue with that.
Maybe the quickest hands of all time. Great feet. Strong. Again, social impact, not a factor, but still. Muhammad Ali, the undisputed best boxer of all time in real history, because Rocky and Apollo don't count. Muhammad Ali, 5.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move Pele up to the 10 spot so everybody else gets bumped down. So Bo Jackson is actually 4.
Okay.
Okay. So 3, I have Serena Williams. 23 Grand Slams, just dominated the sport for so long. She did, have an impact from a diversity perspective as well. Her and Venus. There was a couple of behavioral issues in her career that
same with all these,
tainted
right?
things
Like,
a little bit.
Wilt was a moron.
When you compete at that high level, I think you probably have to be a little bit of a moron on occasion just to keep that competitive edge, right? Like Michael Jordan.
I didn't factor in attitude or anything, but
No.
yeah, Serena, like most of these people, a lot of them, Wilt being the standout, like Wilt was not much of a team player. Wilt was not
I can't imagine he dished it out of the post very much.
No, not a lot of assists. Not a lot of assists for Wilt.
Actually, I guess he did get a lot of assists when they would like
put 8 guys on him.
Yeah, and then he would just dump it off to somebody for an easy layup.
So you got Williams that high. Okay.
I have Serena at number 3.
So I need to do my 4 and then my 3 to catch up with you, right? Because you screwed up. So
I was just so focused on my 9 that are so good, and now Pele joins them. So it's a great 10.
My 4, primetime, Neon Deion Sanders.
Okay.
Greatest all-time nicknames, different list. Deion has 2 that are up there. Look, Deion Sanders.
Deion on primetime, yeah.
The story with Deion, you talked about it a bit. Played a regular season NFL game, and then that night played NLCS. It was a championship series game.
Yep.
It was not a regular season game. Did this in the same day. Watch the video. There's a bunch of stuff online about it. And the 40-yard dash story, right? Like, you've probably heard that one.
Refresh my memory.
Like, pulled up in a limousine with a suit, like, put on clothes, didn't stretch, walked on, ran the 40, like 4.25 or something, got back in the limo.
It's awesome.
And then caught his jet. Like, Dion has a lot of those stories.
Was this, like, when he was in college? Like, his pro day?
This was, like, the pro day. He didn't do anything. Like, I think he stepped out of the limo.
Ran 40 and said, drop the mic, I'm out.
Yeah, so Deion Sanders, freak of an athlete, and was a good, like, he was a very quality baseball player, like we said.
Yeah.
Great base runner, great outfielder, and was maybe the best cornerback in football history.
Corner,
yeah, right? Yep. Him, Revis, who else?
Rod Woodson.
Yeah. It's a different list, but Dion just dominated.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with Dion. It was awesome.
So my 3, I like him, but I have Mike at 3. I've got Michael Jordan at 3.
You're going to get so much hate mail from Paul. He's just going to beat on you.
Well, the 2 guys that I have ahead of him, I don't think you can argue, but Mike, is the best basketball player of all time by a fair margin. Kareem is 2. Look, like, the stuff that Mike did, not a lot of people could do. He was an alien, right? The 63-point
game when he was... That was his second year, right? He was injured for most of the year.
He was 23.
And then he came back. And, well, he played 2 years of university. So then played his rookie year and was good. Pissed off Isaiah Thomas, and that really hurt Isaiah Thomas's career.
Mm-hmm.
I think Michael broke something. I don't remember what it was. So he missed like 60 games. Came back for the playoffs and just dominated them. And that's... A lot of people talk about that as one of the greatest playoff performances of all time.
Dropped 63 on Boston, and Larry Bird said, I'm not sure if it was after the game, because this was a few days ago to the year, right? Larry Bird came out and said, like, that day it was God disguised as Michael Jordan. That's what Larry Bird said.
Yeah.
And
Larry Bird never gave anybody else credit.
Yeah, not, Danny Ainge or like a role player. Larry Bird said it. So I got Mike at 3, the GOAT.
I got Mike at number 2. I mean, for all of his individual accolades, he did play professional baseball as well. Yeah. I think that professional basketball players are the greatest athletes on the planet. I remember it was a long time ago where they talked about if you take some of these NBA guys and they just focused on individual things. Like if you made Charles Barkley a discus guy or a javelin guy, he would have been awesome, right? Like if you made, Wilt Chamberlain just a volleyball player, he would have been awesome. So I think basketball has the greatest athletes on the planet. All the soccer dudes are going to be like, oh, no, it's soccer. They're 5'4", 132 pounds. Like, Alessio is a big soccer player, right? And he weighs about $125.
Wow.
So, listen, I like soccer guys. You run around a lot. Don't score much, but that's okay. Michael Jordan, number 2.
Cool with Mike. Yeah, we did talk about baseball.
Yep.
Wasn't, an elite baseball player, but played in the MLB. So, there's that. My 2, I've got Wilt at 2.
Okay.
Ahead of Mike. Just going to read off some numbers. 7'1". So he's 7'1". 48-inch vertical. That I think is pretty accurate. Like some of these I don't know. 48-inch I'm pretty sure is accurate. Apparently a bench, like easy 500 pounds.
Yeah.
Easy. Like he could bench dudes. Like there's stories of him like he picked up a couple of his buddies on each hand and just lifted them up. Then
shoulder press. Yeah.
40-yard dash. It's around 4'6" is the story.
Oh my God,
that's
crazy.
The story.
I'd never heard that.
I wanted to see some numbers about Wilt. There's a good Jim Brown story with Wilt Chamberlain. They were at some celebrity party and didn't get into it, but were John. And Jim Brown said, let's go for a race. And they took off their shoes and raced. And
like race barefoot?
Barefoot. And Wilt won. And Jim Brown got pissed and said, let's race again. And then Wilt won again. That's the story. Like that is actually like a pretty legit story, I think.
That's cool.
Dominated basketball. Some people think he was a better volleyball player than basketball player, right? He was like the head of the volleyball association. It didn't really last long. Did track and field. Almost fought Muhammad Ali. There's a really good story about that where they both, like, they were pretty close to having a fight, but the payday wasn't big enough, I think, for Wilt, which is code for he knew he couldn't beat Muhammad Ali. But Muhammad Ali and Wilt would have been super awesome.
Like Rocky and Thunderlips.
And Thunderlips. Good comparison. So I've got Wilt at 2.
Okay. So I have Jim Thorpe as number 1, which you know.
Yeah.
Read up on Jim Thorpe. Amazing. Football, track, basketball. He was just an amazing athlete. There was a bit of controversy because he played like in some dumpy semi-pro baseball league when he was like 19 to like earn some money to eat. And so they actually took away his medals for like 60 years. Like his grandkids got back his medals. But Jim Thorpe is amazing. Look him up. I've got him as my number one athlete of all time.
Yeah, I didn't talk about him because like I knew you'd go nuts about him. If you look at like the 1912 Olympics, he had like 8 gold medals or something ridiculous. Like he's just freak of an athlete. My one is Bo Jackson.
Okay.
Without a doubt. Bo knows is for sure the best athlete of all time. Football career was cut short because he was too fast, right? You know what his 40-yard dash time is?
Oh, it was like 4.31 or something.
4.3? No. 4.12 is the number that's on the internet. 4.12, which I don't believe.
Gosh, that's crazy.
But the fact that he was often the strongest dude on the field or on the diamond, and then was probably the fastest guy, unreal. Look up Bo Jackson stories from when he was a kid.
Yeah.
There's a good book. There's just stories that, like, he killed a pig by throwing a rock at it when he was, like, a child. And I think that's where Bo came from. There's a story where he was in, like, grade 7 or 8, and they didn't have a basketball. So he picked up a stick and just kept dunking the stick during recess. That's another story out there.
When he was 9.
When he was in grade school. But Bo and Wilt both have stories that you can read about that a lot of them are probably fake, but they're so entertaining that they're kind of believable. But I got Bo number 1.
2 good lists. Youngblood, I got to give you some credit. Good research. Draft, bus. What do you want to do? Jump right into it?
Yeah, so I've got a few NFL guys.
I've got a few NBA guys.
Give them the bust, say kind of what they missed or what was the issue with them, and we'll run through these. And
just pick one that is the biggest bust, and then everything else they all suck. If you're a fan of Portland and saying, boy, that sucks. But pick one NFL guy, Ryan Leaf, and I'll pick one NBA guy.
And I can't talk about any. I'm going to throw their name at the end. What do you mean, right?
You do that one last.
Okay. I guess I'll go Ryan Leaf because that's the really easy one.
He's the biggest?
Probably.
Yep.
Probably.
Fair enough.
Second overall in 98.
He was amazing in college.
Him and Peyton Manning were supposed to be...
so much debate.
Like, I'm trying to think of a comparison in recent years, but there really isn't. When there's 2 elite quarterbacks that are like, who's 1, who's 2?
Yeah.
And Leaf fell to 2. And everyone's like, the Chargers, I got him, right? Chargers were fine with Leaf because they thought him and Peyton, very similar. But Peyton Manning's top 5 quarterback of all time. And Leaf just sucked. Like his rookie season, his touchdown to interception ratio was 2 to 15. Like that was his touchdown to INT, and that was the draft that had Chuck Woodson and Randy Moss.
Yeah, that's bad.
So they missed on both of them with Leaf.
Yeah. So I've got Darko as the biggest draft bust, partially because it still hurts us as Pistons fans. Like, could have had Wade, could have had Bosch, could have had Carmelo.
Melo just would have screwed with the chemistry on
I'm not a Melo fan. Again, sorry, Urban Paul. But here's the thing. Like, there was some discussion about Darko being the number 1 pick. He was so hyped up, right? He played in Europe, but he just wasn't that good. Like, it's amazing. It was different. Like, you're not going to pick an unknown big guy from Europe number 1 now. It's a different time with all the research. But I got Darko as the biggest draft bust in NBA history. I'm still pissed off.
So are we saying any of our other ones? Is that what
Yeah.
Okay.
Say a few more.
Jamarcus Russell.
Yep.
He was this quarterback the Raiders took. Cannavaro basically signed his rookie contract and then just said, I don't want to play football.
8 tackles.
Belly.
I like tackles, but I'm not an NFL guy. I probably should.
He was number 1 overall in 07. They passed on Calvin Johnson, Adrian Peterson, Darrelle Revis, Patrick Willis, Joe Thomas, Marshawn Lynch, Jamarcus Russell.
Yeah, unfortunately, some of the draft busts are tied to injuries. So I've got Greg Oden as a big bust. Portland, KD was picked ahead of him, and there was a decent amount of debate, KD or Oden, but back then people wanted a big. KD is still a Hall of Famer, and Oden went back to Ohio State to get his undergrad degree in sports management.
I'll go RG3 here.
Okay, it's a good one.
Had a great rookie year in the 2012 draft. He was drafted. Great rookie year. Part like a lot of injuries, a lot of Washington dysfunction that caused him to just kind of fall apart. And I think he's a backup now.
Very well.
He's a backup now on
right.
Baltimore.
Yeah.
But
did he play at all?
A little. Like they just have him because he's Lamar, right? Or he was Lamar. But RG3 would have been nice to see if he stayed healthy and could have won something. But
Okay. So my other debate of the number one bust of all time, Sam Bowie, everybody picks him. Some of it was, so he was actually the number 2 pick, right? Akeem Olajuwon at the time of the draft was the number 1 pick. Sam Bowie was number 2. A guy named Michael Jordan, who was number 2 on my GOAT list, was number 3. Again, injuries, bad motor, just huge bust. Sorry, Portland, because they've got like 2 big busts.
Yeah. Trent Richardson, I'll go. He was in 2012 draft.
Okay.
He's a running back.
He's punk ass.
He's a punk. Part of injuries, but a lot of it was just work ethic and just kind of got money and didn't want to play. And they missed on, like, this was Russell Wilson's drafts, Von Gilmore, Luke Kuechly. It was tough.
Yeah. I've got, next I've got the Stormin Mormon from Utah, Sean Bradley. Again, so if Wilt could bench press 500 pounds, I'm not sure if the big Mormon could bench press 50 pounds. He was just terrible.
This is Space Jam? Sean Bradley?
Yeah, Space Jam Sean Bradley. He was terrible.
That's what I knew him from.
Yeah. Awful.
Charles Rogers. You know that name.
Oh, yeah.
This is probably the biggest Lions bust. 2nd overall in 2003. He went to MSU, and he has so many MSU records.
He was amazing at MSU.
He has so many records in college, but he sucked. A lot of drugs. And there was also some injuries. He retired with 4 career touchdown passes.
Yep.
4 more than us.
And he got like 2 in one game, like pretty early in his career, or then he got 2 like the next 4 years before he...
And this was like Andre Johnson, I think, went right after him. Troy Polamalu went in the first round too.
Yeah. And so, Rogers was like the 2nd overall pick. He was high.
Yeah, 2nd overall.
Yeah. I've got Adam Morrison. Just his game could not transition to the NBA. Really, really good college player, but just... an 8th or a 9th guy off the bench. Adam Morrison. He just cries a lot. When I think of Adam Morrison, I think of a guy who cries and bricks jump shots in the NBA.
My last one is the Boz, Brian Bosworth. He was taken in the supplementary draft in 87, 1st overall. And the other pick, or one of the other picks in that draft was Hall of Famer Chris Carter. So it didn't really land with Boz. He was really good in college. He's kind of nuts, right? He only lasted a couple years in the pros. And it was a lot of attitude, but he also had injuries like all these guys. And I think we're calling in Coach Rob now, right?
They're calling in Coach Rob. Join now. You keep talking.
All right, let's... what should I talk about?
We're waiting to view the lobby.
We'll talk about my favorite players in the NBA while we try to get Coach Rob. I might stop abruptly. Jimmy's my favorite. Steph, I don't know how, like, if you don't like Steph, I won't have a conversation with you. Is it because you like LeBron so much? Is it because you're just dumb?
Coach Rob. Hey, Coach Rob, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We can. I'm going to give my phone to Isaac. He runs the AV, in case you didn't know. Coach Rob Blondin, welcome to the show. Great to have you. Truth to Tal Isaac. You're on.
Great. Glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me out, fellas.
I'm going to let Isaac introduce Coach Rob, because they're homies.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, player.
So, Coach Rob, met him through baseball. We're just homies. Good dude. He got a good shout-out last episode because I ran into him. But Coach Rob is here. Good listener of the show. I think we're talking baseball, but Coach, I'm going to let you take it away and you're just kind of tell us what we're talking about, okay?
Yeah, I thought we'd talk some baseball. You guys know way more about basketball than I do, so I didn't want to look like I didn't know what I was talking about. So let's talk some baseball.
Awesome.
Let's start with, obviously the team to beat the LA Dodgers. They were prohibitive favorites to win the World Series, but I don't want to talk about that. Anything can happen come playoff time. I'm coming out, I'm speaking the truth, I'm shooting fire. I'm saying the Dodgers are going to break the MLB record of 116 wins in a season. What do you think?
Wow.
100. I mean, they are so deep, and this is an odd year.
They're hot right now, right? Do
you know? Yeah, they're first overall, right?
Yeah, they're 14-4. To go 116 wins, that they could lose 7.5 games a month, basically, is what it works out to. So they got to go 5-2, 6-1 every week. They got 8 starting pitchers.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
bats all over the lineup.
Yeah, their 7th and 8th pitchers are better than anybody the Tigers have. I'm actually not trying to be funny. That's the truth.
Two teams have won 116 games. The 06 Cubs, who did it in 152 games, actually, and the 2001 Mariners. And the funny part is neither one of them won the World Series.
Yeah. I remember that Seattle team. They were an awesome team, right? Ichiro was on fire. So I guess the question on the table is, will the Dodgers break the all-time wins in a year? And I'm actually going to say no. And the reason why I'm going to say no is not because of talent, but because of load management. I know that's not a common baseball term, but I think when you get closer to August and September and the Dodgers have a 17.5 game lead, Betts is going to sit more. And, Clayton's going to rest his arm.
I thought about that, but you know what? The Padres are good too, and they're going to be pushing the Dodgers. So I don't know that they're going to be able to start resting players till maybe September.
You think they're going to break the record, Coach?
I do.
Actually, I agree with you. And you said load management. That if the Dodgers load manage a few of their players, so let's say they lose a couple players, the other teams that also load manage, well, the fill-in players that the Dodgers have are better than any other fill-in players that the other teams will have. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
I do.
So I'll agree, right? But the only team I think that can actually beat them right now is probably the Padres. Did you watch any of that series, Coach?
Man, I did. I watched a lot of it.
That was good baseball.
It was late. It was hard to stay up, but it was worth it.
Yeah, and I haven't had a lot of good series to watch with our Tigers, but it's always nice to stay up and watch.
I don't watch West Coast sports. It's too late for me.
Yeah.
Not at all? Not even on the weekend?
Maybe a little, but I fall asleep.
Yeah, I know. I hear you.
Coach, before you ask your next baseball question, if you don't mind, can you describe for the readers what it was like to coach Isaac in baseball? Because here's the funny thing. Isaac never played baseball as a kid, right? He played soccer, played basketball, played football, didn't play volleyball until a little later. So he just showed up in the gym and started to play baseball. And if you don't mind telling us a little bit about how young Isaac was as a baseball player.
So he came to us, I think he was 12, and obviously he was an athlete, but, not much in the way of form with baseball. We tried to teach him how to throw, but he still would never bring the ball all the way back. But
That's true.
He found a way to throw strikes, so that was okay. He was at shortstop. He could get to everything. He would catch for me. He was a singles hitter, but all he had to do was get on first, and 2 pitches later he was standing on third because he could steal second and he could steal third, no problem. But as his coach, the thing that I loved most about him is he was such a good teammate. It didn't matter if you were the best player on the team or the worst player on the team. He had a nickname for you. He had his arm around your shoulder if you made a mistake. He was there to pick you up. He led the team in cheers and chants, which sometimes got on my nerves, got to be honest.
All the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Isaac never shuts up. Since he learned how to talk when he was about 3.5, has not stopped talking since.
I could see that, and I used to say to you sometimes that how do you put up with this 24 hours a day? He's my problem for 3 hours a day. He's yours for the rest.
Me and Hork.
He was so much fun to coach. We had so much fun in those years together, and I was really trying to get a team together this year, and I'm not sure that the government's going to allow it, but I'm not giving up yet. I'd like to give everybody one more go at it and get Isaac back on the diamond and see if he can maybe hit one to the fence now that he's a full-grown man.
I'm there.
I've said it a couple of times, but shout out to all the coaches who put in all the hours and hours and hours and help coach our kids and take care of our kids. Isaac's been fortunate with Steph Curry and Delmas, Mr. Horkey, Rob Blond, and John Downs. He's had a lot of really, really good coaches in his career. Oh my gosh, I better mention Len Kane, or Len's going to track me down and punch me in the neck. Thank you to all the coaches that Isaac has had over the years, because sports really helps develop a person, right? Like, I think about life and teamwork. And all those skills, working hard, communicating with people, bringing people up when they're down. That's what you do as a good employee. And thank you for the kind words. The funny thing about Isaac, he tried the goofiest stuff. He actually got away with a hidden ball trick, which was actually hilarious.
You remember that, Coach?
Yeah.
Stealing home. I loved stealing home. You didn't love it as much. Yeah, you didn't love me stealing home.
It's so rewarding, like you said, Tal, as a coach, to get to deal with these kids and to get to work with the other adults. John Downs, like you said, Matt Kaplan, Sadlers, the Loziers, the Horkeys, everybody have made such what I hope are friends for the rest of my life from being involved with Windsor South. So I highly recommend it to everybody out there. Get involved. Do something. Make good use of your time, and it'll be rewarding for sure.
Isaac, can you describe the hat that I'm wearing, because Coach can't see it?
or people on podcasts or
people
Spotify.
on podcasts.
My
yep.
dad is currently wearing my District 5 umpiring hat. This was from like when we hosted minor provincials a couple years ago.
I do.
Yep. Me and Maddie were a couple of the umps with a bunch of old guys, and they gave us sweet shirts and hats.
Yeah.
Didn't pay us, but gave them hot
You
dogs.
did a good job.
Yeah.
You get a hot dog and a hat.
All right, back to baseball, Coach. What do you got for us?
So let's stick with the Dodgers for a little bit more because they're that good. Not only are they the best team on the field, are they the best looking team on the field? Are their uniforms number one?
No.
No? Who do
No.
you think has a better uniform than the Dodgers?
This might be on. Okay, so we're just
This
talking.
might be a topic.
We're just talking straight, like no city or alternate or goofy stuff, right?
Yeah, correct. In fact, the Tigers are one of I think only 2 or 3 teams that don't have goofy alternate stuff. They just have a home run away.
And I love it.
Which I love about them.
Yeah. So I know my favorite jerseys.
I mean, Tigers, Yankees, Cubs, powder blue, San Diego.
Not
Chargers.
eligible, and that's football. We're
Why is it
talking
not
baseball.
eligible?
We're talking baseball.
baseball.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just talking baseball. Yeah, see, I also love the Cubs uniforms. The pinstripes are beautiful.
Yeah.
But the Dodgers with those red numbers, for some reason the numbers are red on the front, and it sets them off. And I think they're the best. But the Red Sox are great too. And you know who had great uniforms back in history? My beloved Montreal Expos.
Oh, they had
Yeah.
great unis. Yeah,
Best
good call,
uniforms.
Coach.
So I know my favorite uniform kits. San Diego Padres. I love the brown and yellow.
I don't like the brown and
Also-
yellow.
I agree. I do. But they lose marks for me because of their camouflage and because they've been a team since 1969. Why haven't they been wearing these for these last 52 years?
Yeah.
That's a
They've
good
had
point.
some really bad
And
choices,
Oakland.
but these
I-
ones are fabulous.
I think Oakland has sweet uniforms.
Yeah, I like Oakland's unis too.
Maybe it's because Moneyball,
Yeah.
but
They're very good.
What else do you want to talk about, Coach?
So one more baseball thing with the Dodgers. Is Mookie Betts the best player in baseball, or is it still Mike Trout?
I have to say Trout. I know you're going to ask that. I think Trout, but I totally respect. Like, it's Godfather 1, Godfather 2. Either way, you win. You know what I mean? Either way, you win.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Youngblood. I'm going to Mike Trout too.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they're both, like, it's 1-2. Like, there's not debate about that. But if I had to have somebody for a season now, I'm picking Trout. I don't know who's more injury prone over the next few years. Both of them have been pretty healthy for their careers. But I'm picking Trout.
Who do you got, Coach?
Do you know he's only 29 and Betts is 28, even though he's been in the big leagues 3 years longer. They're only 1 year apart.
Really?
Yeah, I'm sticking with Trout until he gives me a reason not to. His WAR every year is like 10. He's unbelievable. And you're right, Tal. He's West Coast. I don't get to see him play very much. We made it a point to go over and watch him play in person once, just to say that we did. He's great. He's so great.
Do you guys know what his
I wish he was a Tiger.
on base percentage is?
This year?
Yeah.
No.
Do you have any idea, Coach?
No.
That's probably
like-
450 or
No,
something dumb.
it's like 530 or 520.
Oh my gosh.
That's his on base percentage. That's nuts. That's like Major League video game stuff.
Boy, it'd be nice if Anaheim could, or whatever they're called now. It'd be nice if the Angels could make a run and actually play a playoff game. That'd be cool.
And they got Shohei.
The world needs to see Shohei and an aging Albert Pujols and Mike Trout.
Now, that being said, I think Trout's better, but I love Mookie Betts. He's so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
He is.
I'm a Tiger fan, but I also kind of like the Red Sox. I know it doesn't seem possible, but it's the way it's just what it is. And he was so much fun in the Red Sox, and when they let him go, I didn't understand it. I don't understand it.
It still doesn't make sense. Coach, have you ever been to Fenway?
I have.
So, if
2018.
If you've gone to Fenway Park,
It was the closest thing to Tiger Stadium that I've seen. Tiger Stadium is the best place ever, but Fenway's number 2.
cool. Anything else for us, Coach?
Every run was like Christmas. Every run, the standing ovation.
Yeah.
It was fabulous.
All right, Coach, before we let you go, you got anything else for us?
Oh, yeah, sure. Okay, I'll give you one more thing. This is kind of in reverence to your mother, the wonderful English teacher who's impacting so many lives of kids in South Windsor. She's doing such a great job, including kids in this house. They all love her. She's great. I wanted to talk about sports books. Do you guys read sports books, and do you have any recommendations for me in books I should be reading?
I've got a couple. Because, like, growing up, I didn't want to read. Like, I read some books, but I didn't want to read boring school books, right?
Yep.
But we actually talked about him earlier this episode. We talked about Bo Jackson a bit when you look at best athletes, and there's a really good biography. I don't think it was written by Bo, but there's a really good biography about Bo. Kind of starts from when he was young, and it tells all these legendary stories and stuff, and kind of breaks him down. And it's a really good book about Bo.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna reference my childhood, and I loved Wayne Gretzky so much. Anything I can get my hands on, I read about Wayne Gretzky and Daniela a few years ago. And Coach, thanks for the shout out about Daniela. I took a Wayne Gretzky book and I autographed it to myself. Hey Tal, pleasure meeting you. You're a great friend, Wayne Gretzky. Daniela's like, what is this? I'm like, obviously I autographed it myself.
I've heard you in other episodes talk about Bill Simmons. You're a fan of Bill Simmons. Do you have his book of basketball?
No.
It was 2009, so it's a bit old now, but he rates the top 100 players. It's a long read. There's lots of pages. That's one of the books that I like. And there's another basketball book about the 1980 Portland Trailblazers called Breaks of the Game by David Halberstam.
Okay.
That was a really terrific book to read. But baseball, baseball makes the best movies, and I think they have the best books. Everyone knows about Ball 4 by Jim Bouton. That was like the first tell-all book about what goes on behind the scenes that we don't know about. And then Halberstam again wrote a book called The Summer of '49 about the Red Sox and the Yankees pennant chase that was kept. I mean, I made it a point not to look it up to see who won the pennant. I assumed it was the Yankees. And I was captivated by the book. I couldn't wait to get to the end to find out what happened. He's such a good writer, and that was such a good book. And off the beaten path, I found a book called Bottom of the 33rd about a minor league baseball game. That
Never heard of that.
33 innings.
I think I've heard of that.
That's awesome. That's some really good.
That's some. If you want to borrow them, or
you know what? Throw us one, and then we'll read through it. I'm just finishing the Barack Obama book, and I need something a little lighter. I love Barack, but his book's a little heavy. I could use something a little lighter.
Hey,
right,
Coach.
One more question for you, a theoretical question. Last episode, you talked about Back to the Future. So in Back to the Future 2, you know the story, how Marty McFly gets a hold of Gray's Sports Almanac. Isaac, if I could give you a Gray Sports Almanac 2020 to 2070, would you take it?
100%. Like, it might be like the ring from Lord of the Rings. Like, I might go nuts, but you have to, right? Like,
I would take it 100%.
Why would you? But so you miss out on all the drama, all the excitement. You would know everything.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, here's the problem. Like, the thirst for knowledge and the thirst for wanting to know who wins next year and the year after that and the year after that. Like, are the Lions ever going to win a playoff game? I couldn't put it down. I would have to know. Those are the things that are more eating at me than, hey, I want to wait to 2035. And by the time it's the end, I'm going to have dementia, so I won't remember anything.
Like, if the Lions are in the Super Bowl, I want to know if they win it or not, because I just don't want to cry that entire night in the other, right? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and if the Lions are in the Super Bowl in 2026, we need to start saving now, like today.
Yes.
Got to get a couple more part-time jobs.
So if you open it up and it says that Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars win 5 Super Bowls in the next 15 years, to become a Jaguars fan?
Oh, I'm not. No, I'm Detroit everything, and I follow Jimmy.
So even if that book tells you they're never going to get there, you still follow. You still stay.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not going to switch. Too late now, right? Especially for you,
right.
but even for me, like I'm 17. It's not me. I'm just going to go and get a new favorite team.
Yeah, it's in your blood.
I agree.
That's a great question, Coach.
Just so I could quit my job and move to Las Vegas and get filthy rich.
Then you can watch a lot of Mookie.
That'd be cool too. Yeah. Although I don't think I'd have my own casino. That was weird.
Yeah, it was weird.
No, I would not do that.
Make a basketball court.
No, we'd have a sweet house with a basketball court and a tennis court and all that cool stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, Coach, thanks very much for appearing on the show. We appreciate it, loyal listener. People, watch us on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and comment. You can listen on Spotify, Google Play, and iTunes.
Yeah, good enough. I think those are wrong.
Close.
That's right.
Yeah, I might be a little off there. And if you need some merch, just reach out to Isaac and hashtag Team Tal, Team Tal Nation.
Isaac, give your father the password to the Instagram account.
Yes.
I want pictures of tennis courts.
Need some selfies. Yeah, I want to play tennis.
Thanks, Coach.
Man.
Thanks, fellas.
Okay.
All right.
See you, Coach. Have a good night.
See you later.
So thanks for joining us tonight. It's time to sign off. Isaac, any parting words?
No. Thanks. But there's some good sports today. We're gonna hopefully release this on today, Wednesday. Pistons playing later. Pistons playing Dallas, I believe. So we get to see Luka go nuts against us.
Ooh.
The Heat are playing somebody, but they're injured and they suck. And if Jimmy's not playing, I'm not watching.
Yeah, I got club life at 8:30, so I won't be able to watch a lot. What time's the Pistons game start?
Probably 8:30.
Bummer. Okay.
And then Tigers, second game of doubleheader.
Yeah, doubleheader. Let's play
so we get
two.
to see them lose twice today.
Ernie Banks, let's play 2. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night.